What's going on? Welcome to the Fantasy Finest Podcast. I'm your host, William Spencer. And if you've been listening to the podcast, you've heard us on doing our audio tape, we are now switching over to video podcasting. We will be doing video podcasting for the 2024 NFL season. So we will be giving you the best in fantasy football content to your devices on YouTube, TikTok. We already got TikTok accounts are going on over there. So I'm just happy to be able to bring you video content now. And it's going to be an interesting season this year. So make sure that you hit the follow button and make sure that you're staying locked in with the Fantasy Finest this season as we get to go into this new journey. But let's get to the episode because we got a lot to talk about. The offseason has already begun. OTAs have started. So we got to go and talk about what's been going on this offseason. So we're going to be talking about in this episode the winners and losers of the offseason for the rookies. Now, we know that the 2024 NFL draft has come and gone, and the rookies have their landing spot. But we got to talk about, or at least I got to give my opinion on what rookies stand out as winners based on their draft position based on their draft position and their landing spot, and which ones that spots kind of stay it upright for one reason or another. So we'll be getting into it. And like I said, OTAs have already started, so we gotta talk about some stuff that's been going on there too, with all the players getting started. You got Derrick Henry in a new spot with the Baltimore Ravens. Caleb Williams is showing off. Just for example, there's other stuff going on that we should have getting into this. So let's get into the episode. So before we do that, we gotta talk about the news. We have a segment that we talk about the news and everything that's going on coming out of the NFL and our news. Matter of fact, what I call it, news and notes from around the NFL. But let's get it. All right. First up on the agenda, Michael Pittman left OTAs with a knee injury. He according to Shane Spagnuolo, he bumped knees during practice and left practice with trainers, but he's expected to be fine. I like the fact that, and this may sound a bit weird, but I like the fact that these kind of injuries happen during the early part of camp. I always start to get a little nervous when injuries start to pop up with the closer you get to the start of the regular season and when you start to go into grass season. So it sounds like it's not a big deal. You're probably just going to take it easy on Michael Pittman, allow him to be able to recover, and then he'll be back good at them. Next on the list, DK Metcalf was not seen at Seahawks practice on Wednesday. Now, we have to keep in mind that this part of OTAs is voluntary. So players not showing up to go over the beginning of OTAs is not really a red flag just yet. We have to wait and see what else transpires, why DK Metcalf didn't show up for Monday's OTAs. Maybe there's something going on personally. Maybe it's not a big deal. But if this extends into June, I want to preface this by saying that there's a few more players that didn't show up for OTAs or the beginning of OTAs just yet. So let's preface that by saying that OTAs at this point is just voluntary. So players don't have to show up if they don't want to because it's voluntary. Let's keep that in mind. There's been reports about CeeDee Lamb, Cowboys wide receiver, not being at OTAs. Michael Parsons was reportedly not going to OTAs, and then he showed up. So it's just a little touch and go right now. It's just like, oh man, are they going to come? What's going on? But let's pump our brakes and wait for more to develop, and let's see what happens when we start getting into June when mandatory OTAs come up and players have to show up. Moving right along, Keith Brown is reportedly building nice chemistry with quarterback Patrick Mahomes and Xavier Worthy, a rookie out of the 2024 NFL draft, a lead round selection by the Chiefs, left practice with a hamstring injury. Now, according to Andy Reid, the new number one wide receiver, at least to me, Marquise Brown, is having or is gelling really well with Patrick Mahomes. The wide receiver position was something that the Chiefs needed to address in the offseason, adding more speed and more weapons, and he did just that this offseason by adding Marquise Brown on a one-year deal. drafting Xavier Worthy, and it seems like it's coming in clutch because of all the stuff that's been going on with Rashee Rice. I'm gonna have to save that for another video. It says Marquise Brown is one of the few wide receivers on the Chiefs or Chiefs players not getting into trouble right now. It's a good thing. As far as Xavier Worthy, like I said earlier, like with Michael Pittman, it's good that these injuries are getting coming in early and getting out of the way. But this is just a small, or deemed as a minor hamstring injury. So Xavier Worthy isn't in danger of missing extended time. As a matter of fact, Patrick Mahomes told reporters that Worthy could probably came back to practice if he wanted to. But Mahomes did speak glowingly about Xavier Worthy and his progress on OTAs, and that's a good thing because it could be Marquise Brown and Xavier Worthy to start the season because we haven't seen any indication of the NFL coming down with a potential suspension for Rashee Rice and Rashee off-season activity so far. So we're gonna have to wait and see what the NFL does with Rashee Rice. There's reports earlier this offseason that Rashee Rice could be suspended for an extended period of time. Some have speculated that he could miss half the season. So we just have to wait and see how that domino falls. But right now, Marquise Brown and Xavier Worthy are getting on the same page with Patrick Mahomes, and that's always a good thing. Eagles wide receiver Devontae Smith was not seen at Wednesday's OTAs. Again, still voluntary. No need to panic just yet. He got a new deal. I believe it's 3 years and $75 million. So it's not about money. Maybe it's just something that happened in his personal life. He did reportedly just buy a new home, but maybe he's just putting the finishing touches on that. And finally, Falcons running back Bijan Robinson is dealing with an ankle injury. He's expected to be ready for minicamp in June, according to head coach Raheem Morris. Robinson could be ready to practice later on in June. He's expected to be limited during the rest of OTAs. Not a reason to rush your star player back from injury. I know it's only his second year, but you don't want to wear out your studs this early into the offseason. Gotta wait. Let him recover, and I'll be back to it. But that's it for the news section. Now let's get into the main part. Winners and losers. Now, let me just say that I could probably make this episode about an hour and a half long because of all the moves that were made during the draft. But I'm only going to highlight a few players that I'm really keeping a close eye on. And I don't want to make it too long because I want you to enjoy the video. But for the winners, I'm going to start with them. Here are a few players, rookies that I'm really going to keep an eye on during OTA, and players that I really like coming out of the draft. So I'll give you my first two: Marvin Harrison for the Arizona Cardinals and Brian Thomas Jr. from the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now, starting off with Marvin Harrison. Marvin Harrison landed in one of the best spots that a wide receiver could land in with the Arizona Cardinals and Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray's coming back from torn ACL injury. He suffered last year. He missed the first half of the season. Came back in the latter part of the 2023 season, and he was throwing the ball a ton. That's what Marvin Harrison comes in because he's going to be the wide receiver one for Kyler Murray this season. And what comes with that is a lot of targets and a lot of opportunity. So Marvin Harrison steps into the wide receiver one role. They don't have DeAndre Hopkins anymore. He's over in Tennessee. Marquise Brown is with the Chiefs. He left during free agency. So the wide receiver room is going to be taking shape this offseason. They did sign Zay Jones in free agency after he was released from the Jacksonville Jaguars, and I'll feed into that with Brian Thomas. Marvin Harrison Jr. should be the number one wide receiver, especially considering where they took him for overall in the NFL draft. So he's going to be your guy. And that opportunity, plus where he's being valued at this offseason, he's going to be one of the top picks come fantasy season. Excuse me, especially in redraft leagues where he's going to go, I dare say, in the first 2 rounds. He may be the only rookie man taken in the first 2 rounds in redraft leagues in 2024. The opportunity for him to be able to develop not only as a fantasy stud, but to get his rookie year off on a super incline, as it were, he's going to be, I think he's going to be fantastic this year. It's just so much work that he can get in that offense. He's going to be a red zone threat. He's the biggest body they have. Zay Jones will complement him nice as the wide receiver too. Michael Wilson, wide receiver, the rookie wide receiver from last year, coming into his second year, will probably be moved to the slot. Their wide receiver room is taking shape and it looks nice. But Marvin Harrison is going to be the star. I like this landing spot. Brian Thomas Jr. is another wide receiver who I didn't think was being talked about enough. But when you consider he was taken in the first round by the Jacksonville Jaguars, they've revamped their wide receiver core. They let Calvin Ridley walk through a free agency. They added Gabriel Davis through a free agency. They still have Christian Kirk, but his work has been declining over the last few seasons when he wasn't the number one option. He's a little on the smaller side, so that's why they went and added size with Gabriel Davis and Brian Thomas. And Brian Thomas is good. He's as advertised. I couldn't say that. I wouldn't get that out there, but Brian Thomas is legit. Matter of fact, based on their landing spot post-draft, he's my number 2 wide receiver coming out of the draft based on his landing spot because the Jacksonville Jaguars are one of the biggest teams when it comes to pass attempts. Finished in the top 10 last season, despite Trevor Lawrence being banged up at point during the year. But the fact that they're going to be throwing the ball under Doug Peterson bodes well for Brian Thomas. And dare I say, Thomas is going to be the wide receiver 1 for the Jacksonville Jaguars. With all due respect to Gabriel Davis, I love me some Gabriel Davis. But he hasn't really been a wide receiver 1 in his last stop with the Buffalo Bills. He was playing second field to Stephon Diggs. Now he's going to be great and helping the growth of Brian Thomas Jr. And Thomas has what it takes to be a wide receiver 1. And he'll have the opportunity because of how much the Jacksonville Jaguars love to throw the ball. So that's a plus. I like Brian Thomas there. I think that's one of the better landing spots that a wide receiver could have landed with in the draft. So Brian Thomas, he's up there in my winner's circle. And of course, we already talked about Xavier Worthy during our news segment. But I really believe that Worthy has an opportunity to get off to a good spot too. Now, we know Andy Reid doesn't utilize rookie wide receivers as much as some other places do, but I think they're in a unique situation where they don't have the bodies or the depth to be able to not use Xavier Worthy. They passed some other guys last season, like Sky Moore. You had Rashee Rice in his rookie season. He had to be. But before, we haven't really seen a wide receiver come in and be given the number 1, the top spot. You have Marquise Brown come in. That kind of takes the attention off of Xavier Worthy. And I think I like that for him to be able to come into his rookie year and to be able to develop in such a potent passing offense. That sports the best quarterback in the league at Patrick Mahomes. So Xavier Worthy has an opportunity, especially if Rashee Rice misses extended time this season. Like I said, we don't know if he's going to be suspended from the league, or we don't know how long he's going to be suspended from the league. Once we get that information, we can have a stronger place to determine what Xavier Worthy's ADP is going to be during the draft, what his fantasy value is, his true fantasy value is going to be for the 2024 season. Because should Rashee Rice be suspended for, let's say, 6 to 8 games, Xavier Worthy has an opportunity to take over as a wide receiver too. I'm not confident in guys like Sky Moore or Justin Ross who have not gotten enough time or have not gotten enough opportunity to be able to showcase what they can do or be used in the offense with Patrick Mahomes. You have Travis Kelce, who's going to be the dominant piece at the tight end position. But you do bring in Marquise Brown and Xavier Worthy, who are both speed characters, but with speed, wide receivers that can stretch the defense. And that's something that the Chiefs offense needed more consistently last season. They did have good separation out of their wide receiver, but they just couldn't stretch the defense enough to put enough pressure on them. And I think with Xavier Worthy being able to come in and take over some of the reps that would normally be going to guys like Rashid Rice, really has more fantasy upside to be able to come in and be productive with, like I said, one of the best quarterbacks in the league. One guy, now, here's another one of my favorites. I'm going to just say it now. Rome Odunze. He's with the Chicago Bears. We know the Bears have been making a lot of moves this offseason, especially on the offensive side of the ball. They added Keenan Allen. They still have DJ Moore. They added DeAndre Swift. They had Rashawn Johnson. Sleeper alert. You're first. Sleeper alert for Rashawn Johnson this season. I may have been a season early. If you listen to the podcast, I would beg on Rashawn Johnson last year. It didn't work out as much as I'd like it to, but hopefully he gets a shot because it looks like the Bears are going to try to run a tandem attack between Swift and Rashawn Johnson. Sorry, Khalil Herbert truthers. It's not looking good for your boy out there with DeAndre Swift now in the hole. He's going to be the running back one in that system. Rashawn Johnson is going to be the thunder to his lightning. That leaves Khalil Herbert out as the running back 3 on depth chart, maybe. Not a good look for him. He might need to find a new home this 2024 season. Cowboys, that's another running back that you could trade for or pick up when they cut him, if they cut him. But I'm just saying, that's a side note. But back to Rome Odunze. Now, what I like about Odunze is his draft value. He was picked in the top 10 of the 2024 draft. Now, because the Bears have Keenan Allen and they have DJ Moore there, what I've seen is that people don't believe that Rome Odunze is going to have a significant role because of the two better. And I can't really fault that logic. It makes sense. But when you consider the fact that they drafted Caleb Williams as their new quarterback, and they drafted him a young weapon inside the top 10, to me that says that they're not going to go away from Rome Odunze. You don't spend a top 10 pick on a wide receiver just to not use them, or use them sparingly because you have better wide receivers already on the team. If you look at Keenan Allen specifically, he's on a 1-year deal. He's going to be 34 this year, I believe. He's getting up there. DJ Moore is no spring chicken either. I believe he turns 30 this year. So you have 2 older wide receivers coming in a newly built offense with Caleb Williams as a rookie quarterback, and you're gonna have these old guys dominate targets. Now we all know that Keenan Allen is a target black hole. Justin Herbert threw targets to him all the time. But I think in this new system, when you have a rookie quarterback, you want to be able to build him up with a young wide receiver so that they can gel and grow together. And that's what I'm looking for in Rome Odunze. I think in dynasty formats, I'm looking to draft in the dynasty formats. So if you're in my fantasy league and you're watching this video, I'll let you out the bag. That's what it is, man. I can't keep this to myself, man. I'll let y'all know how I feel about these players. I can't talk about players that I don't want them. You know what I'm saying? It just doesn't sit right. But Rome Odunze is on my list. And I firmly believe that he's going to be an integral part in this new look Bears offense. With Caleb Williams at the helm and all these good wide receivers, granted if Keenan Allen can stay healthy, he will be able to have a good season. Now, is it going to be something like Marvin Harrison? I'm not too sure. The target disparity is still something to be considered because you're going to have to get Keenan Allen and DJ Moore involved. Plus, you have a split out the back. So maybe not to the extent of what Marvin Harrison could be, or Brian Thomas for that matter, because these guys look like unequivocally wide receiver ones. They're the main focus in those offenses. Whereas Caleb Williams, or what the Bears may want to do initially, is, get Keenan Allen and DJ Moore involved, let Caleb Williams get comfortable, and let Rome Odunze not have to be rushed in that part of the offense. And then as the season gets bigger, or the season continues to go on, Rome Odunze's involvement continues to go up, and then he gets more added on to the play. So I like him in the long term, even in redraft leagues, and I like him long term in dynasty because he's going to be the wide receiver one. I think with him, it's just a matter of how soon does it happen. I think he's on the same kind of path as Xavier Worthy, except worthy for this season, looking like a wide receiver too, with Marquise Brown there. Another wide receiver I like is Jalen Polk. Now, the New England Patriots, their offense was dog water last year. Let's just be honest. But they've revamped the entire offense. I mean, from quarterback to wide receiver, they added Antonio Gibson to the running back room behind Ramondre Stevenson. So they have a lot of moving pieces. They got Jacoby Brissett as possibly the bridge quarterback, which I like, by the way. Jacoby Brissett is not the sexy quarterback that everybody wants. If they don't, if they decide, to ease Drake May into the Patriots offense, you still have Jacoby Brissett, who is able to get targets to the wide receiver. Now, the only other question is Jalen Polk going to be ready and be the week one, running the week one wide receiver for the New England Patriots? That's what we have to see during OTAs and training camp. I believe it's going to tend to that way because when you look at the wide receiver core for the New England Patriots last season, there wasn't much to rattle about. So you're bringing in these young guys to eventually take over and be your top targets, and you're going to have them build with Drake May as he starts his NFL career. Granted, like I said, if they opt to let Jacoby Brissett be that bridge quarterback for Drake May, that's a plus. I think that's how it should be looked, and that's how it should look. But if they do it that way, that's all good for Jalen Polk. Jalen Polk is a big wide receiver. He can stretch the defense with his speed. He has solid speed in hands. I really like that. He's going to be your lower end wide receiver one, just based off the fact that there's going to be a lot of players going ahead of him, and nobody's really going to be trusting the New England Patriots offense heading into this 2024 season. So I feel like you can get Jalen Polk on the cheap. You don't have to reach to get him on your fantasy teams, whether it's redraft or redraft. And I say over. I meant dynasty. Dynasty is video thing to do. Stay with me though. Stay with me. But I say all that to say that I like Jalen Polk. I think he's the winner. He landed in one of the better spots. New England is going to be looking to pass the ball more, or have the passing game more involved with their younger wide receiver. I have Caleb Williams on my list as a winner. I think that's kind of obvious. I'm buying into his talent level. I don't think that he's going to be a bust or he's a wide receiver one who's going to flop out. I'm stuck on wide receivers. Quarterback, I don't think he's going to be a bust quarterback. There's some apprehension about whether Caleb Williams can make it at the NFL level. Is his attitude versus his antics, the whole thing with his fingernails caught a lot of attention. Are those things going to distract from him being a proper quarterback in the league? And I'm not buying any of that noise. I think that Caleb Williams is as advertised. He is the real deal. And he's going to show it this season. And start, like I've already mentioned what I did of Roma doing there. He's got a lot of weapons. They fixed the offensive line this offseason. They added running backs so they can use the run game to help Caleb Williams out. And he won't be pressed to do too much. They'll be able to ease him in and get him right. And he's already been named the quarterback for this 2024 season anyway, so that's another positive. I believe in Caleb Williams, and I think you should too. Who else we have on the list? We only got a couple more names for the winners. Jaden Daniels from Washington. He was my second best quarterback coming into the draft. The dude can throw anywhere on the field. And the best thing about him for fantasy is that he's a mobile quarterback. And we know how fantasy managers love running quarterback. So he fits the bill for the Washington Commanders. They do have Terry McLaurin over there. They had added Luke McCaffrey, Christian McCaffrey's brother, to their wide receiver core. They still have Josh Dodson at wide receiver too. I like their offense, and basically they put every other Cowboys depth piece that they could this offseason. So that's I just wanted to throw that in there. But I like Jaden Daniels. I can't get Caleb Williams in my dynasty leagues. Jaden Daniels is the bona fide number 2 target that I'm trying to get. That's how much I believe in the offense. Are they going to be dangerous in the NFC East? I might have to save that for another video. But let's wrap it up with these two running backs, Jonathan Brooks and Trey Benson. Now, as far as Jonathan Brooks goes, I do like his running spot with the Carolina Panthers. Their running game was not great last year. Miles Sanders was a bust of a pickup during free agency after he left the Philadelphia Eagles. And to be honest, he looks like a product of the system, having one of the best offensive lines to run by. And then when he got to the Carolina Panthers, he was just a sellout. So it is what it is. And that's why they went to address the running back position for Jonathan Brooks. Now, he is recovering from a knee injury. It's expected for him to be ready by training camp. So if you're targeting him in redraft, just make sure that you have the depth at that position when you're picking up running backs this season. Don't go in there with Jonathan Brooks as your top as your top piece to start. Make sure that you have the depth. Don't go skimpy on running backs if you plan on drafting Jonathan Brooks, because we don't know how the knee injury will be. Even if he comes into training camp, they may opt to ease him in to the once the regular season starts. You don't want to be holding the bag with a guy who's not going to get a full set of reps when the season starts. So make sure you take the precaution and make sure that you have the depth on your team to be able to hold Jonathan Brooks once he's ready to go. But I like the spot for Jonathan Brooks. He's going to be the running back one. They're building a brand new offense for Bryce Young, and they're actually trying to get him help. Hopefully the offensive line holds up. He can pass the ball. Because Jonathan Brooks' pass catching is top tier. That's his speed. Now, Trey Benson, on the other hand, he still has to contend with James Conner. I like this move. I like it for both formats in Dynasty and Redraft, but for Redraft, James Conner is still there. Now, we do understand that James Conner has an extensive injury history. He did play well last season. I think he only missed a handful of games last year, so that's a plus. But Trey Benson, I believe, is going to be the future. James Conner is not getting any younger. I believe he turns 30 this year during the season. Not only is he turning 30, but he's a free agent after the season. So it looks like Trey Benson will be the heir apparent and take over once James Conner hits free agency. So that's something you want to keep in mind when you're targeting running backs during the draft this season, especially in dynasty formats. He should be on your list to be able to grab for the future, especially, like I said, in dynasty formats. Now, we got some of my winners out of the way. There's probably some other players you wouldn't name. If you feel like I missed anybody, leave a comment. Leave a comment on the video. But like I said, it'll be posted everywhere. This is our first video podcast. But let's talk about some losers. Now, these are my opinions, and I feel that you have the ability to disagree with my opinions. I'm totally fine with that. So, let me just start by saying that. That's my disclaimer. So, for my first loser, Rob Bowers. And before you say it, let me, one more disclaimer, one more. And Malik Neighbors. Those are my first two losers. And it's not based on their talent. Let me say it again. It's not based on their talent. For me, it's their landing spot. Now, Rob Bowers was the top tight end coming into the draft. Like I said, it's not about his talent. It's about his landing spot. The Raiders don't have a quarterback that I feel can bring out the most in Rob Bowers. Adrian O'Connell and Gardner Minshew, they're not it guys. They're not quarterbacks that you can say, you know what, the passing offense is going to be great this year because we have Adrian O'Connell and we have Gardner Minshew just in case anything happens to Adrian O'Connell. You're not saying that. And you have Devontae Adams there who's going to soak up a lot of targets. He led the Raiders wide receivers in targets last season, the season before that. He's going to continue to do that because he's still got juice. Where does that leave a guy like Brock Bowers? Are they going to use and incorporate Brock Bowers in an offense that doesn't have a lot of pass attempts? That's been considered. Now, next season, the Raiders could go out and get a quarterback. But for this year, 2024, Brock Bowers is going on the list. He just doesn't have the quarterback support He's in an offense that doesn't pass the ball a lot. And he has a wide receiver out there in Devontae Adams who's going to take a lot of targets. Same thing with Malik Neighbors. It's not based on his talent. He was the second best wide receiver coming into the draft. Arguably, you can make the case to whether or not he should have been wide receiver one over Marvin Harrison Jr. But that's another topic for another time. Malik Neighbors lands with the New York Giants. Who's their quarterback? Daniel Jones. He stinks. Sorry, that's what it is. He's not a good quarterback. He has not shown the ability to consistently drive the ball downfield. And you went and got a wide receiver whose playmaking ability and explosiveness takes him downfield. Now, you could be saying, well, Daniel Jones has never had a wide receiver like Malik Neighbors. And I can't really disagree with you on that. The problem is that he's had speedsters or speedy guys that can take the top off the defense and get behind defenses. And he still haven't been consistent. Aaron Slayton, I know he's not a sexy name, but he's a downfield threat. Wasn't very effective during his tenure with Daniel Jones. So to expect Malik Neighbors to be able to do the same thing, I can't really do that. Then you consider the fact that the Giants don't have any weapons around Malik Neighbors. Saquon Barkley is gone. He's a Philadelphia Eagle now. Who's their running back? Devin Singletary? Are you confident in Devin Singletary replicating the effect that Saquon Barkley had with the Giants' offense? No, let's not get ahead of ourselves. When you look at the wide receiver pool, who's your next wide receiver who's going to be able to take some attention off of Malik Neighbors and stop other defense from singling Malik Neighbors out and taking him away? Couldn't think of any? Me neither. Tight end position. Darren Waller is debating on retirement after one season with the Giants. They just don't have enough around Malik Neighbors, and they don't have the quarterback to be able to support Malik Neighbors. So for this year, it's 2024. I know a lot of people are going to disagree with this, but it's not a good look for Malik Neighbors. Now, like I said, it's not about his talent. He's a very talented wide receiver. But to be able to turn Daniel Jones from ashy to classy, I don't see it happening. The Giants are going to have to get a quarterback, hopefully sooner rather than later. But Malik Neighbors' fantasy upside is going to be hindered by Daniel Jones and the Giants' offense. Not to mention, you're going to have to reach to get Malik Neighbors. I believe he's going in the top three, or the top three rounds. If that's the case and his ADP holds up, that's way too rich for my blood for an offense that's going to be struggling this year. Can't do it. Michael Penix Jr., quarterback for the Atlanta Falcons, or backup quarterback for the Atlanta Falcons. This was the weirdest move by the Atlanta Falcons during this draft. Now, on one hand, I get it, because you're protecting yourself. You're making a future investment into your quarterback position by bringing in Michael Penix. And I like Michael Penix. Did an article for him on Fantasy Football Calculator. I like Michael Penix. I do. The problem is that you signed Kirk Cousins in the offseason, in free agency, and you gave him a lot of money. So he's not going anywhere. He also has a no trade clause. So he's definitely not going anywhere. You signed him on a 4-year deal. If he plays the entirety of that deal, Michael Penix, it makes the pick a little puzzling. Maybe you could have used that on a different position. Don't know. Now, like I said, I don't mind the move long term. For dynasty format, I would target Michael Penix just to have him stashed on the bench. But he offers you no value unless Kirk Cousins goes down during the season. And he's a talented quarterback. I was hoping that he would land with the Las Vegas Raiders, and that would be able to boost some of the skill player over there over a guy like April. But unfortunately, he landed with the Falcons, and if Kirk Cousins doesn't go anywhere in the next couple of seasons, hey, it is what it is. Now, I saved my most two frustrating picks for my losers at the end of my selection for losers. Now, I have to do this because it was frustrating when it happened, because these guys I thought could have ended up in different spots and potentially have been starters for this season, adding depth to the running back position. Braylon Allen and Isaiah Davis. both got selected by the Jets, and it made no sense. Why? Because you have Brees Hall on the roster. Now, they could be adding running back depth so that they don't have to overwork Brees Hall, and I get it. But you took two running backs, not one. You went and got greedy and took two, and you already had Izzy. I'm not going to try to pronounce his last name, because I always butcher it. But you already had a running back on your roster last year, and you went and took Braylon Allen and Isaiah Davis in the same draft, and you put them behind Brees Hall. Talk about frustrating. And I was hoping Braylon Allen would fall to my Cowboys, and it did not happen. And the thing about it is, I'll add one more, especially for Braylon Allen. He's a, a, a he's a big man, 6'1", 200-something pounds. He looks like a goal line monster, and I kind of feel like that's where they're going to use him to give Brees Hall a break. Don't really like that too much because one thing that the Jets had an issue with last year was their run blocking. They went and fixed the offensive line this offseason, which is a plus, but you didn't have to add two running backs. Y'all got greedy. And those are my moves. Braylon Allen could have been somewhere else, and he could have been a starter. But he got picked up by the Jets. The rest is history. But those are my winners and losers for this episode, for this offseason. And that will wrap up the episode. So let me know what you guys think about the video podcast. Do you like it? Hopefully you do. And you'll get to see it once it goes up. Make sure that you check out the Phinest on our website. You have one of those too, fantasyfinest.com. We got articles going up and all that. So make sure that you check out the articles on the website. We have more content coming. Make sure you check us out on your social media. We're all over the place, like TikTok, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, etc. If you can type it in on social media, whatever platform you use, whatever your flavor is, hit that follow button so you can stay locked in with the Phinest. That will be it for our very first video podcast. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Hit the subscribe button. Don't miss let me say it right. Don't miss a beat. Hit that bell too on YouTube. Thanks for joining the Fantasy Phinest podcast, and I will check you guys out in our next episode. Take it easy.